This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody is already entered. So this class, as I told you, it's very, very important for both for your practical examinations in community medicine and pediatrics and general medicine, and also you should know also what is as obesity. Why you should, doctor? What is your responsibility towards the society to prevent? You should learn about obesity in children. Anybody voluntarily, why you should know about obesity in children? What is the purpose? For each and every topic in any subject, you should know why I should learn about this topic also. Not only for passing the examinations, there are some things are there. What are those? Why you should learn? Voluntarily, otherwise I will call the numbers, roll numbers. Anybody voluntarily will tell why, as a medical student, you should learn about obesity in children. And otherwise, if you won't diagnose and if you won't treat a case of obesity, what happens or what are the complications of obesity in children? Roll number 6. Present or absent?
Yes, ma'am.
10. Roll number 6 or 10?
Yes, ma'am.
6 present?
Yes, ma'am. 6, ma'am.
What is your name?
Alekia, ma'am.
Name. What is your name?
Alekia,
Lekhi,
ma'am.
can you tell what happens if you won't diagnose it? Okay. Can you tell what happens if you are unable to diagnose a case of obesity in the
cardiovascular disorders?
Or otherwise, what? The children will face, they are obese.
Breathing problems or cardiovascular diseases.
No complications will be there, or any complications will occur in obese children. Just
yes.
Whatever you know.
Impaired glucose tolerance or
Alekia, be loud.
impaired glucose tolerance levels.
What happens obesity if not diagnosed and treated?
Impaired glucose tolerance or cardiovascular diseases.
You told something. I'm unable to hear that. Impaired glucose type increase are more prone for cardiovascular diseases like. Be specific. Cardiovascular diseases like, especially coronary artery disease, that is can lead to myocardial infarction also. Okay. Anything else? And hypertension. That can lead to stroke, cerebrovascular accident, like they may manifest with hemiplegia and all other neurological deficits. Okay. Roll number 10. 10 present or absent?
Yes. Present, ma'am.
What is your name?
Anudhya, ma'am.
Name?
Anudhya, ma'am.
Tell your name.
Anudhya, ma'am.
Roll number 10.
Yes, ma'am. Anudhya, ma'am. My name.
Okay, 12. Roll number 12. Present or absent?
Present, ma'am.
22. 25.
Present, ma'am.
You are not absent or not. It's a discussion.
Present, ma'am.
Otherwise, you will make bored. That's why I'm asking questions to make you more interactive. Who is this? Roll number
12,
20 or 22?
12, ma'am. 12. Ma'am, 12. Ma'am, 12, ma'am. Hello.
12. What is your name? Name. Mention your name.
Arnav, ma'am. Ma'am, Arnav.
Roll number 30. Present or absent? Roll number 30.
Ma'am, present, ma'am.
Present.
30 present, ma'am. 30 present,
Name?
ma'am. Tanmayi, ma'am.
Name. I want your name.
Tanmayi, ma'am.
What is your name?
Tanmayi, ma'am.
Roll number 30. Can you mention any causes for obesity in children? (35). Roll number 35.
35 present, ma'am.
Can you mention some causes for obesity in children? Just think and tell. You are in 7th semester, at least by this time you can tell some causes why children are becoming obese.
Less physical activity, ma'am.
Less physical activity. Good. Anything else like less physical activity? Only less physical activity. Eating more junk food, high calorie dense food. Anything else? Those are comes under constitutional, environmental factors. Anything, any other pathological conditions where children will be obese?
Hormonal condition.
Be loud.
Metabolic disorders.
Metabolic disorders. What do you mean by metabolic disorders? It's a vague word. You can specify metabolic, like you told, environmental factors like eating junk food, less physical activity. So pathological causes like somebody told hormonal. Which hormone deficiency leads to obesity in children? This is morning only, not after lunch. Pre-lunch also, if you become like this, should be more interactive. Jahnavi, somebody is talking. Who is this? Which hormone deficiency causes obesity in children?
Thyroid. Hypothyroidism, ma'am.
Thyroid deficiency leads to obesity in children. Any other hormone? Do you know? Growth hormone deficiency also. There are genetic causes and hormonal causes and environmental causes. So why we should bother about, as I told you, because especially in adolescents, there are more increasing obesity due to lifestyle changes leading to lifestyle diseases. So it's very important, especially in adolescence age, if you pick up and if you treat, you can prevent the adult problems. Actually, these problems will arise not only in adolescence and childhood, even before birth, like in fetal life. That is called as Barker's hypothesis. I will tell you what is this. So this leads to interactions and accumulation of various risk factors, both like environmental and genetic, endocrine and intrauterine factors, all throughout the life cycle leading to the obesity. Especially in developing countries like in our India and other countries, there are rapid rise in epidemiological changes in epidemiological transitions like nutritional and socioeconomic status leading to this obesity epidemic and consequences. So it's a simultaneous, if you take India, it's a simultaneous, both undernutrition is also there, overnutrition is also there. That's what we call as malnutrition. Malnutrition is not always equivalent to undernutrition. Malnutrition means undernutrition and overnutrition also, like overweight and obesity. And especially why this is, as I told you, intrauterine or in fetal life, if the mothers, most of them are chronically malnourished, stunted mothers, they gives rise to small low birth weight babies or IUGR babies, intrauterine growth retarded babies. So almost more than 25% of births are low birth weight babies. So this background, whenever mothers are stunted or malnourished, usually in utero environment will not be that much sufficient for the baby to grow. So these babies will become low birth weight babies or intrauterine growth retarded babies. So these babies actually programming will be altered in utero, leading to both decreased growth and increased fat size. All will leads to future they will become obese, and also they will more prone for hypertension, hyperlipidemias and metabolic syndrome and all those things. This is called as fetal origin of intrauterine origin of adult onset diseases. So especially obesity in urban slums are increasing because most especially malnutrition, as I told you, both undernutrition and overweight is more common because of poor knowledge of healthy food habits. Urban slums, they go for work daily, they earn, but they don't know how to spend that money on good nutrition. So because of these TV advertisements and movie advertisements, they go for junk food and soft drinks and watching more television and mobiles, leading to sedentary lifestyles and eating junk food, in turn leading to the overweight. So coming to the definition, what is the definition? Textbook, recent OP-GATE textbook definition is children with BMI more than 85th percentile we call as overweight, and children BMI more than 95th percentile for the age are obese. So this is the definition of obesity according to body mass index. BMI means body mass index. Body mass index, how you calculate? This is the formula: weight in kgs divided by height in meter scale. Like 152 centimeters means 1.52 meters. So weight in kgs, like they may be like 50 kgs or 60 kgs. So 60 divided by 1.52 into 1.52 will be his or her body mass index. So body mass index, if you plot on a chart, BMI charts, if it is above 85th percentile, that child is considered overweight. If it is above 95th percentile, then we call as obese. So coming to the Indian scenarios, usually for Indian adults, because we have lean mass, so Indian adults compared to the Western studies, we will take lesser cutoff values. Like in Indian adults, 23 kgs per square meter for overweight and 27 kgs per meter square BMI per obesity we will consider for adults. For children, we have to take the growth charts. So coming to the etiologies, what are the causes for obesity in children? Genetic, there will be genetic causes and endocrine causes and behavioral and environmental causes. Behavioral and environmental causes we call as constitutional causes, constitutes around 95% of the causes. Only genetic and endocrine causes are 5%. So behavioral and environmental means we can modify. That's why you should learn the obesity. What are the causes? So 95% of the causes of obesity we can modify. So we can prevent even. So we can change the lifestyle of the adolescents and adults, and then we can reduce the associated comorbidities like coronary artery disease, hypertension related diseases and metabolic syndrome. So coming to etiology in detail, as I told you, constitutional causes like environmental factors, 95% of the conditions, and pathological causes like endocrine, Cushing syndrome, deficiency of growth hormone, deficiency of thyroid, that is hypothyroidism, pseudo hypoparathyroidism. These are the endocrine or hormonal causes. So Cushing syndrome, increased cortisol secretion and deficiency of growth hormone, and hypothyroidism and pseudo hypoparathyroidism. And other hypothalamic causes may be due to head injury, because all of you know that hunger center and satiety center is situated in the hypothalamus. So any insult or injury to the head in turn damages the if it is hypothalamic lesions, then it leads to obesity. Head injury, infections of the hypothalamus like a complication of meningitis or meningoencephalitis, brain tumors, radiation therapy affecting the hypothalamic area, and after neurosurgery they may become obese. Coming to the drugs, especially in pediatric age group, the child is epileptic, we will use anti-epileptic drugs like sodium valproate and phenytoin. These drugs are more prone for obesity. And usage of steroids, like long-term steroids, not for only 3 or 5 days, but long-term steroids like 2 mg per kg per day, especially we will give in case of nephrotic syndrome for 6 weeks continuous therapy and 6 weeks alternate day therapy. So like these conditions, prolonged uses of steroids like prednisolone and other methylprednisolone will lead to obesity in children. And estrogens, hormonal therapy in case of adolescents or adults, these drugs can lead to obesity. Coming to the genetic causes, but these genetic causes are very rare, as I told you, less than 5%. But you should know what are the genetic syndromes which leads to obesity, like Prader-Willi syndrome, Lawrence-Moon-Weddell syndrome, Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome, Carpenter syndrome. I will show you the pictures of these syndromes. Genetic syndromes and also monogenic disorders. Monogenic disorders, only single gene is affected, like leptin deficiency. Actually, leptin inhibits it has the hunger, mainly it leads to satiety, so it inhibits the hunger. So leptin deficiency leads to increased hungry, so these children will eat more and leads to obesity. Are resistant to leptin or abnormalities of the melanocortin 4 receptors and pro-convertase abnormalities. These are the regulating mechanisms for the satiety and hunger. So any abnormalities in the leptin and melanocortin 4 receptor and pro-convertase will leads to obesity. Other factors, as I told you, main important, especially constitutional factors like change in the lifestyle, especially urbanization, unhealthy eating patterns, wrong choices of food like taking soft drinks and high calorie foods, increased oil consumption, deep fried items, and all those will lead to obesity. On top of that, they will have sedentary lifestyles like long school hours and going to tuitions and all those. They will less in turn leads to less physical activity. And also nowadays everybody is using vehicles for transportation, so increased vehicles uses, reduced play areas. Some schools they won't have even playgrounds also, and increased television and telephone uses. These all comes under environmental factors or constitutional causes. And other things like food habits, like eating high glycemic index foods, and sometimes as I told you, early life origins like programming to accumulate fat, especially it's more common in Indian children because of small for gestational age and in vitro growth retardation. Programming will be like that. They're more prone to accumulate fat, especially in children born to gestational diabetic mothers and also small mothers and malnourished mothers. And there is intergenerational effects also, like that. Intergenerational means the grandmother is obese, even the grandchildren, that genes will be transmitted from the grandmother to the mother, from the mother to the siblings. So intergenerational effects of the accumulation of fat is also there, programming like that. So generations also will be affected. So that's why obesity consequences not only that individuals, we have to educate them. This will be transmitted to their generations, even to grandchildren and so great grandchildren also. So even these things we have to educate to the parents and children. So dietary, as I told you, increase junk food intake and taking sweetened beverages, less fiber in the diet. They are not using fresh fruits and vegetables. So fiber, if it is there, it reduces the absorption of calories and fats. So this in turn modulate the satiety also. So that's are the uses. Those are the uses of fiber in the diet. So they should take fresh vegetables and fruits and sprouts and all those things which will have more fiber in the diet. Lifestyles, more screen time. Most of the time we're watching the movies and televisions. So lack of physical activity, regular sleep activities, and late night sleeping. So they will eat. They sleep late means they watch movies and they will eat continuously. This will lead to obesity. So why you should bother about this obesity in pediatric age group means because if you won't tackle in the pediatric age group, they will become adolescents and adults, so leading to increased epidemic of type 2 diabetes mellitus and coronary heart disease. Obesity leads to increased incidence of type 2 diabetes mellitus and coronary heart disease. Almost 10% of newly diagnosed diabetes mellitus are in age group of 10 to 18 years. Nowadays, in even pediatric age group, we are actually type 1 is diagnosed in pediatric case group, that is insulin deficiency diabetes mellitus. Insulin sensitive or insulin deficiency we call as type 1 diabetes mellitus, but type 2 is increasing because of obesity. Type 2 means insulin resistant diabetes mellitus. So this is more having complications, and we have to use antiviral drugs, but in pediatric case group very few drugs are recommended. So increased incidence of type 2 diabetes mellitus in pediatric case group. Incidence of gestational diabetes in young mothers with intergenerational effects, as I told you, this won't not only to the mother, this will be transmitted to the fetus and then into the other generations also. So high, almost 14% of prevalence of impaired glucose tolerance suggested large pool of potential diabetics in India, according to the study conducted in 2000, published in 2002. So these are the charts. If you are unable to calculate BMI, rapid screening, especially in school health camps and community-based camps, you can take this help of this chart, that is EHPA chart. EHPA means eligible health path for adults and adolescents. So Indian chart only. Elizabeth, she is from Kerala. So she planned a chart here. Y-axis we can plot weight in kgs and x-axis height in centimeters. So you can get BMI with this chart. So this lines indicates less than this is the undernutrition. Above this is overnutrition. Red color is danger. Both extremes. Overnutrition is also danger and undernutrition. So accordingly, we can see the in which zone the child, the person is there in the BMI chart. As I told you, there is a fetal programming, a fetal origin of adult onset diseases. This is very important. It's actually established long back. So medicine, pediatrics, and community medicine people will be talking about this one. So that's why very, very important, especially adults and girls' health and antenatal mother's health is very important because of this Barker's hypothesis, that is fetal origin of adult onset diseases. So if you take care of the adolescent girls' nutrition and antenatal mothers, you can prevent consequences in newborn and also in next generation also. That's what intergenerational effects they are talking. So undernutrition and unfavorable intrauterine environment will have critical periods in early life, can cause permanent changes both in structure and function of the cells in developing system of the fetus, that is called as programming. So this may manifest as a disease over a period of time due to disadaptation with changed environmental circumstances. If they have further abnormal environment after birth, this will accumulate and further leads to early onset of diabetes mellitus and metabolic syndrome, hyperlipidemias, hypertension, and coronary artery disease. All will be programmed in intro only. That's why it is called as fetal origin of adult onset disease. This is the Barker's hypothesis. We may get for even PG entrance bit also. So this is the in detail about the Barker's hypothesis. Maternal malnutrition. So this will have effect through the placenta, leading to maternal malnutrition, stress hormone release, and fetal genome. This will be altered by this, how it is fetal undernutrition, especially nutrient demands exceeds supply, will have stress, release of stress hormones like cortisol. Increased cortisol will be there, and altered body composition, down regulation of growth, because demand is more but supply is less, undernourished mother. So muscle mass will be decreased but fat mass will be increased. Programming like this happens. So this in turn leads to hyperlipidemia and hypertension in the latter age. And increased cortisol will impair the developmental liver, pancreas, blood vessels, but brain will be spared. That's why they are normal IQ and normal development somewhat. And early maturation of these organs and impaired development leading to central obesity. So pancreatic function is not impaired. That means insulin secretion, even though it is there, it may not be acting normally. And insulin resistant, this will lead to insulin resistance. These all are programmed in intro. So in turn, this hyperlipidemia, central obesity, insulin resistant leads to type 2 diabetes and coronary artery disease in the latter age. Especially in blood vessels, structure will be altered because of this one. So abnormal structure leading to coronary artery disease. So pathophysiology of obesity, as you know, hypothalamus, there is a hunger center and satiety center, usually regulated by the leptin, which whenever there is hunger, after calorie intake, insulin secretion will be there. Insulin will act on the excessive glucose after metabolism. Excessive carbohydrates will be deposited in the adiposity as a fat, and leptin will be released. Leptin will have action on the satiety center. So this will regulate normally. But whenever these genes are modified, deficiency or abnormalities of these genes will leading to obesity. Coming to the clinical feature or otherwise examination, what are the features or what are the things we have to observe whenever a child comes with obesity. General and systemic examination we have to general examination. There will be clues like acanthosis nigricans, especially there is increased blackening, darkening of the skin folds near the neck and nape of the neck. So that is called as acanthosis nigricans. It's already indirect evidence that the child already developed insulin resistance also. General examination we can see. So anthropometric measurements, you will take weight, height, all the waist circumference, hip circumference, BMI, body mass index will chart on the plot. We will know whether it's overweight or obese. And usually these children will be more prone for hypertension. And there will be acne, hirsutism, hair fall will be there, dysmorphic features in case of genetic syndromes, and pubertal status. If you see, usually in case of pathological obesity, usually they will have short stature. Constitutional obesity, like otherwise normal child, just eating more calories, taking more food, then they will become taller. Obesity with tall stature usually constitutional. Obesity with short stature usually indicates pathological obesity. And you should know if they usually if they're suffering with some anxiety or depression, also they will compensate with eating more food. So psychological evaluation also to be done to rule out either child is depressed or anxiety disorder. So some clues will be there whenever you are examining this will leads to diagnosis. So clues to diagnosis, like as I told you, if it is case of genetic syndrome, like in case of Prader-Willi syndrome, there will be short stature will be there, mental retardation, hypogonadism, hypotonia, pilot tooth. These are the features of Prader-Willi syndrome. Bardet-Biedl syndrome, usually obese child with retinitis retinal degeneration. Retinitis retinal examination. These children will have blindness. Usually at birth will be normal. In between retinal degeneration, they will develop slowly, decreases in the vision. Finally, they will lose the vision. And if you examine retina, there will be retinitis pigmentosa. And they may have polydactyly. You can observe here. Polydactyly is post. Here extra finger. So these called postaxial polydactyly. If it is here, we call it preaxial polydactyly. So you can here is the 6 feet, both like mental retardation, renal dysplasia, renal features of Bardet-Biedl syndrome. Stature, hypogonadism. These like dimorphic features with acrocapital abnormal shape of the head due to they will have craniostenosis. Craniostenosis means premature closure of the sutures. So growth at the level of the sutures will be there. So parallel to this will be horizontally they will head growth will be there. So abnormal sutures, abnormal growth will be there. Premature closure of the sutures will be like ridges over the scalp. If you palpate, you can feel the ridges over the scalp in case of craniostenosis. This restricts the growth of the brain direction. Opposite direction only brain will. So this leads to abnormal shape of the capillus, that is called as acrocapillae, and flat nasal bridge, high arched palate, low set ears, and syndactyl. These children also will have syndactyl. Syndactyly, polydactyly is different, syndactyl is different. Polydactyly means here polydactyl and syndactyl is also there. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fingers. That is polydactyly. Fusion of fingers. This is called a syndactyly. So both polydactyl and syndactyl will be there. Hypogonadism, mental retardation, and obesity. And monogenetics in problems, as I told you, leptin deficiency. So leptin as a receptor deficiency, leptin deficiency can cause severe obesity, especially beginning the first few months of life. So normal birth weight will be there, but they will constantly have hungry and quickly gain weight. So this is the child with leptin deficiency. After treatment, they will become normal. Like this melanocortin 4 receptor gene mutation. These are single gene mutation syndromes. The most frequent single gene cause of obesity. These children also will have suppression of food intake by alpha melanocyte stimulating hormone. So receptor defect leads to massive obesity. Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome. This is also obesity associated syndrome. Overgrowth of dessert usually present at birth. Like at birth only you can macroglossia will be there, macrosomia, big for the gestational age, like large for gestational age we call as, like more than 4 kgs at birth these children will be, and they will have microcephaly with macroglossia. Macroglossia means large tongue, macrosomia means large baby. So more than more weight for that gestational age will be there, like 4 kgs or more. And ear creases or ear pits will be there. At external ear also you can see some abnormalities. And they may present with hypoglycemia in the newborn period itself, like seizures. So there is a macrosomia and neonatal hypoglycemia with ear abnormalities. We have to think about Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome, and these children are more prone for cancers like ectoblastoma and nephroblastoma. And other clues, especially these are genetic clues. In case of endocrine causes like hormonal deficiency, what are the clues we will get? So in case of hypothyroidism, children will be short stature and obese, but weight will be below the 95th percentile for them. So these are overweight, but usually not obese. But we have to see, but bone age, if you see the bone age will be delayed in case of hypothyroidism. So if you detect early, you can prevent the short stature. And also not only that, early age, if their child age is less than 2 years, they will mental retardation will also be there along with short stature and obesity. And growth hormone deficiency, decreased linear growth velocity will be there, and increasing weight gain. Increased central obesity is the feature of growth hormone deficiency. If you diagnose and treat, these children will become normal, get normal weight, and also height will also be normal. Cushing syndrome, where the cortisol levels are increased, these children will have linear growth velocity, increased central adiposity, and abdominal striae, insulin hirsutism, and insulin resistance as the features of Cushing syndrome. Rarely insulinomas, insulin producing tumors from the pancreas. So these children will have increased food intake to counteract the low blood sugars. Hypothalamic obesity, hyperphagia will be there along with other, sometimes they may present with pan-hypopituitarism also, because hypothalamus will be regulating the pituitary hormone secretion. So pituitary hormonal deficiency will also, of course, that leads to pan-hypopituitarism. Pseudo-hypoparathyroidism type 1A, multiple other endocrine deficiencies also will be there along with, like Addison's disease also will be associated with pseudo-hypoparathyroidism. These are the some clues whenever you examine a child with obesity. So if these are there, so a child is short stature along with obesity without dysmorphic feature. With dysmorphic features, we will think about genetic syndromes. Without dysmorphic features, we can go for the bone age. In case of genetic syndromes, bone age will be on par with the chronological age. Chronological age means like 2 years child, 2 years, that is a chronological. Bone age means development, maturation of epiphysis and epiphyseal fusion will comes under bone age. For a specific case, this bone age should be like this. So chronological age is normal, but bone age is decreased, usually seen in case of hypothyroidism and hormonal deficiency. In case of genetic syndrome, will be normal. And most of the causes, as I told you, that may be constitutional, and 95% of the causes, pathological, only 5%. So constitutional, usually that means environmental factors and lifestyle changes. So how they will look? If you see the obesity, usually in case of constitutional causes, generalized obesity will be there. Uniform obesity, limbs and trunk is also same. But in case of pathological condition, usually most often central obesity. So limbs will be thin, but abdomen and trunk will be obese. Growth rate, usually growth rate, both height and weight will be accelerated. So in case of constitutional, because of taking more food, that is constitutional, growth rate will be accelerated. But in case of pathological, Like even they will have premature precocious puberty also. Pathological obesity, growth rate will be retarded. So height will be stunted and delayed puberty will be there. Skeletal maturation, as I told you, epiphysis appearance and fusion will be advanced in constitutional but retarded in case of pathological like hypothyroidism and others. Dysmorphic features are absent in constitutional obesity, but pathological may be present depending upon cause. If it is genetic cause, dysmorphic features will be there. Endocrine cause won't be there. Endocrine features will be absent in constitutional, but features may be there in case of pathological. Next, coming to the complications. This is very, very important. Because of these complications only, you should know what are the causes of obesity, what is the definition of obesity, what are the complications, because we have to treat and prevent the complications. That's why you should know what are the complications. Unless you know the complication, you can't educate the adolescents and adults who are having obesity. So first of all, you should know whenever you go to field trips or community visits, you can tell the complications of obesity. So in turn, health education can modify the lifestyles. So metabolic syndrome, they can have metabolic complications like insulin resistance, dyslipidemia or hyperlipidemia, metabolic syndrome. And in pediatric age group, in adults, type 2 diabetes mellitus and metabolic syndrome. Cardiovascular complications in pediatric age group is hypertension. In adults, they may have atherosclerosis, left ventricular hypertrophy, and hypertension. Respiratory, sleep abnormalities like they may have sleep apneas, snoring. In between sleep, they will have apnea, that is cessation of respirations. And sometimes they may have daytime sleepiness because of undisturbed sleep in the night. They can't concentrate on studies. And they may be prone for asthma. So obese children are more likely to be asthmatics. And coming to the musculoskeletal complications because of weight, they may have tibia vara, slippery capital femoral epiphysis, and flat feet in pediatric age group. In adult age group, osteopenia, decreased bone density will be. Gastrointestinal complications, they're more prone for gastroesophageal reflux disease. And NAFLD means non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Usually, alcoholics will have liver damage, but in case of non-alcoholic also, especially in pediatric age group, if they're obese, they're more prone for non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which almost presents like cirrhosis of the liver, but causes fatty liver only. So in adults also they may present with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, hernias and cholelithiasis. This is cholelithiasis means gallstone formations. This can be present with pain abdomen or maybe cholecystitis, inflammation of the gallbladder, and can lead to surgical emergency. Endocrine causes, early puberty, precoce puberty, and polycystic ovarian syndrome. In adolescents girls, they will have irregular cycles and obesity. In adulthood, this leads to type 2 diabetes mellitus. Psychosocial complications are low self-esteem. Obese children, they won't mingle with others. Social isolation will be there. The more depressed and more, there may be sometimes anxiety, worsening of school performance. This is a vicious cycle. So they will have sleep apneas, snoring, and disturbed sleep in the night. So daytime sleepiness will be there. So the daytime sleepiness, they won't concentrate on studies, leading to worsening school performance. So they will get depression and decreased self-esteem. They won't mingle with other people because sometimes they will be teased by others. So this leads to depression, and still further they will eat more food. This is a vicious cycle. You have to break this psychosocial complications. And dermatological complications, like they may be prone for cellulitis, as I told you, acanthosis nigricans, black, especially darkening of the skin folds over the neck and nape of the neck. And they're more prone for fungal bacterial infection like carbuncles, and fungal infections like intertrigo, skin folds, because they may macerated, and they're more prone for fungal infections. So these are the dermatological complications. And miscellaneous, they may have increased stress, and also they more have increased rise C-reactive protein. Actually, this will be increased in case of sepsis and stress. And they may manifest with pseudotumor cerebri. Without any brain tumor, they may present with raised intracranial tension symptoms. And meralgia, paresthesia means there will be paresthesia, pins and needles, sensation over the lower limbs, mainly due to the compression of femoral nerve. in the especially lower limbs and thighs, they may have this paresthesias due to compression of the femoral nerve. So additional associated features of metabolic syndrome, especially why you bother about obesity, is then more prone for metabolic syndrome like insulin resistance and also dyslipidemias and hypercoagulability of the blood, vascular dysregulation. As I told you, blood vessels structure itself is modified in utero in case of intrauterine growth retardation, leading to elevated blood pressures in the latter age. Endothelial dysfunction like microalbuminemia and renal damage. Pro-inflammatory states, pro-inflammatory markers will be raised like C-reactive protein, TNS alpha, tumor necrosis factor alpha, and interleukin 6. All will be raised. This will lead to damage to the cells. And polycystic ovarian syndrome, this will manifest with irregular cycles, unregulatory cycles. In after marriage, the less chances of becoming pregnant unless treated by gynecologist for polycystic ovarian disease. So this will also lead to further complications. So this acanthosis nigricans is very, very important, almost seen in case of 20% of the obese adolescents. This indirectly indicates that this child at the adolescent person or adult person is more prone for insulin resistance. C-peptide levels will be increased, means insulin is secreted more than the normal, but it's not functioning. So that's why I call as insulin resistance. And normal HbA1c levels will be there initially. Further, once they become diabetic, HbA1c levels also increases. Coming to the metabolic syndrome or syndrome X or insulin resistance, nowadays most of them will be talking about metabolic syndrome or syndrome X. What is this? Increased central obesity. Waist circumference is more than 90 centimeters for males and females more than 80 centimeters for the females. Along with the other features, any of the two following factors like raised serum triglycerides like more than 150 milligrams per deciliter, or raised HDL, decreased HDL levels like less than 45 milligrams per HDL is a good cholesterol, LDL is bad. So decreased HDL cholesterol less than 45 milligrams per deciliter, raised blood pressures, that is systolic BP more than or equal to 130 and diastolic BP of more than or equal to 85 mmHg, and raised fasting blood sugar levels of more than 100 milligrams per deciliter. So among the four, any two plus central obesity. Central obesity, how do you calculate? By taking the waist circumference. Waist circumference more than 90 centimeters in males and more than 80 for females. So this is called a syndrome X that indicates insulin resistance and other complications, especially in girls. It can lead to PCOD also. That is polycystic ovarian disease with irregular cycles and hirsutism and disturbed hormones. So they are less likely ovulation and further leading to infertility also. Coming to the what are the investigations we will do once you think this child comes under obese or overweight. So we have to confirm why this child is having this only due to lifestyle and environmental factors or any genetic factors or endocrine factors. Depending upon the clues you got in the general examination, you can go for the investigations. For all, we have to go for lipid profile because they may be having hyperlipidemia or not. All obese children, whatever may be the cause, they may have hyperlipidemia. Hyperlipidemia in turn leads to coronary artery disease. For that, we have to take fasting lipid profile and glucose tolerance test and thyroid function test, T3, T4, and TSH. If this is primarily, if you take, you can come to most of the common conditions. And gonadal axis, if there is hypogonadism, then only we have to go for serum LH and FSH levels and testosterone levels. Bone age assessment, depending on the age of the child, we will take the X-ray wrist or X-ray elbow or X-ray of the hip or pelvis. In case of young children less than 8 years, we can take the X-ray wrist. In children around up to 15 years, we can take the X-ray of the elbow to know the epiphyses are fused with or not. Above 16 years, we can take the X-ray of the pelvis. So growth hormone levels, in case of growth hormone deficiency or panhypopituitarism also, growth hormone levels will be decreased. Serum parathyroid hormones and vitamin D levels, serum insulin and glycosyl HbA1c levels. So depending on the clues you got, the child is normal height and but obese with normal gonadal function, no need to go for these things like that. So if you suspect hypothyroidism, short stature with overweight, then fasting thyroid profile and lipid profile and glucose tolerance is sufficient. Like that, clinical clues only we have to go investigate the child, not all the battery of investigation to all children. Coming to the management, so it's a multidisciplinary approach, not a single disciplinary, because pediatric children we can't give drugs, all drugs as in adults. So it should be multidisciplinary. More often we should take non-pharmacological management only. Most of the conditions like dietary habits. So we have to give the dietary chart, which constitutes calories of 45 to 65% and proteins from 10 to 20% and fats 30 to 40%. So we have to see if these portions are like this distribution or not. And weight monitoring should be there for all children. Less than 11 years, 0.5 kgs per month is acceptable. The more than 11 years, 1 kg per week. And so mainly we have to concentrate on the lifestyle measures, that is nutritional therapy and physical activity. So lifestyle and physical activity. So no TV for less than 2 years children. We should not advise any TV watching. So more than 2 years, they can be allowed to watch for 2 hours per day, not more than only 2 hours per day. Young child and toddlers daily half an hour to 1 hour outdoor activity should be there. All the children, they should have vigorous exercise for 60 minutes. That is 1 hour per day. So if their physical activity is minimum in this ground, they can lose the weight. Physical activity should be safe and interesting and practical also. One of the adult also should show them how to do. Then only practical. If it is practical, then only they will do it. So we had, otherwise we have to take to the parks and other gym or where other children also do it. Then these obese children also will be motivated and they will also do. Behavior, parental motivation is more important, and parental commitment should be there. So unless parents are taking care of the children, so they won't constantly do the physical activity. Positive reinforcement should be there. Timely monitoring of the weight should be there. Should not be fast, because it will have fast reduction of weight will have deteriorated effects on the metabolism. So we have to gradually reduce the weight. Coming to the specific management, if the child is having hypothyroidism, we have to supplement with L-Troxin, that is thyroid supplementation. Then only child will reduce the weight and they gain the height. So growth hormone deficiency also you have to supplement with growth hormone, and in case of Cushing syndrome you have to give treat according to the cortisol levels. In children with mildly elevated TSH, no need to treat. That only for like 1 or 2 point TSH per that age, no need to treat. We can give dietary advice. And obese children with Prader-Willi syndrome and growth failure benefit from. If you start growth hormone therapy, they may benefit with growth hormone therapy. And Actretide is effective in hypothalamic obesity, but it's not advised in pediatric. Use of leptin is reserved for only leptin deficiency children only. Metformin is only used in case of type 2 diabetes mellitus or syndrome X or metabolic syndrome, and in case of PCOD, that is polycystic ovarian disease, and in case of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, because metformin decreases the appetite and also will have some effect on the glucose metabolism also. So pediatrics, we should be cautious because it can cause hypoglycemias in children. So only in these type 2 diabetes and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and PCOS, only we can use metformin tablets. And statins are also should be used cautiously only in children with persistent dyslipidemia, not all children. And in case of non-alcoholic fatty liver already established, then we can use metformin along with vitamin A and pioglitazone. That is also oral anti-glycemic drug. Girls with PCOS, we have to modify their lifestyle. We have to advise to take less calories and high fiber and fresh vegetables diet, and also physical activity they should have. And sometimes they have to be used oral contraceptives to regulate the cycles, because they will have irregular cycles. Medroxyprogesterone acetate is beneficial in children with obesity and hypoventilation syndromes. As I told, sleep apnea may be the complication of obesity. In those children, we can use medroxyprogesterone. And sometimes they may so severe this sleep apnea, they may need continuous positive airway pressure. in case of obstructive sleep apnea. So only drug used in pediatric obesity is the Orlistat, is the only drug used by the approved for the obesity treatment in children. Mainly acts by inhibiting the gastric lipase. Other newer drugs are MC4, that is melanocortin 4 receptor modulators, and GLP-1 analogs and endocannabinoids are the other drugs, recent drugs can be used. So this, as I told you, only drug used in pediatric age group is the Orlistat. Dose is 120 mg 3 times with each meal or within 1 hour after the food. Only advised in case of more than 16 years. Surgical management, if the BMI is more than 50 kgs per square meter without comorbidities, or BMI less than 50 with more than 40 with comorbidities, then only surgical treatment can be used. These are the surgical methods like laparoscopic, adjustable gastric banding, and gastric bypass surgery and sleeve gastrostomy. But among these three, only this is one can be used in pediatric case group. Only laparoscopic gastric binding. So bariatric surgery is considered only in severe obesity where the measures, medical measures are failed. So malabsorptive procedure should not be done in pediatric age group. Only laparoscopic adjustable banding is the recommended procedure in children. So coming to the prevention, exclusive, how to prevent exclusive breastfeeding and timely complementary feeding. It should not be early. Actually, timely complementary feeding should be started at 6 months of age. 6 months means 6 completed months. Whenever you talk about the age of the pediatric age group, that is completed age. So you should not start before 6 months or should not delay beyond 6 months. So usually some people will start at 3 months, some people will start at 9 months. That is the scenario in our India. Should not start before or early than 6 months of age. Healthy feeding practices we have to advise to the mother and grandparents, and especially these children should take right age in years plus 5 grams. So ideal preventive measures to advise regarding the traffic light diet approach. Green, yellow, red. Green means fruits and vegetables. How much they want, they can take. Yellow means they should take cautiously, like grains and processed meat. Red means like sweetened beverages and dried fruits and fried foods. More, they should be cautious. A very less amount they have. They should have those. This is a traffic light approach. Proper guidance for age-appropriate food we have to, because should not be deficiency in micronutrients. That's why it should take place. So main is the counseling of adolescents and adults while you are going to the field trips, fetal origin of adult diseases and related disorders, and main focus on preventive programs should be directed towards the prevention of obesity throughout the childhood and adolescence. School-based programs most likely to be successful, but health authorities and media should play a role to spread the awareness the sweetened beverages and lifestyle, healthy lifestyle. So these should be what is the main means why you should learn about the obesity in pediatrics, because of alarming thing is type 2 diabetes mellitus and coronary disease and other lifestyle disease disorders are more increasing and leads to Indians have lower muscle mass than compared to the other people and central obesity. So fetal origin of adult diseases epidemic unfortunately preventable also because of changes in the lifestyle, especially in adolescents. So if you take these actions in childhood and adolescents, mothers will become healthy mothers, they give rise to healthy newborns and they will become healthy children. So that's why you have to take care of the health of not only adults, you should take care of the health of children and adolescents. So this can lead to vicious cycle. So healthy children are healthy, they will become healthy adolescents and they will become healthy parents and gives rise to healthy children. So any doubts regarding obesity? Is it okay? Any doubts are there? Can you mention the definition of obesity? What are the causes? What are the general examination features of obesity that gives some genetic syndromes or not? how to diagnose, what are the minimum investigations. First, we have to go for the primary investigation, then only others, and what are the complications of obesity, how to manage the complications, and how to manage the obesity. Okay, no doubts? Anybody is having any doubts? Jyoti Prakash. Is there? Jyoti Prakash absent. CR.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts are there?
No, ma'am.
We may get marks question like that, but in general medicine and community medicine, you will have more from pediatrics. That's why I took this topic, because it will be useful for your community medicine theory examinations also. No doubts, I will end the meeting.
No doubts, ma'am.
Okay, thank you for everybody for listening. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.